I can't believe it's 20 years. Some people ask me, well, what does it feel like? I say, sometimes it feels like it happened 50 years ago. And then some days it feels like it happened just yesterday. And that's the range of emotions that we have, from that, it was a horrific day, but there were so many good things that came out of that day in these past 20 years.
I hear 20 years, it just seems like I don't feel older than that. And maybe that's just when you start getting older, you don't want to feel older. But it doesn't seem like it was that far away. But then, when I talk to my kids, they're learning about it in history class, like they weren't even alive.
I was 17 years old on September 11, 2001. And I remember walking into my house that day, to my parents' house, and I saw my mom in the kitchen. And one of the first things she said to me was, your cousin Joseph, nobody's heard from him yet. We don't know if he's safe. And my heart skipped a beat, and I thought, oh my goodness, I hope he's okay. I hope he made it out and he just couldn't get to a phone, or maybe he's in a hospital and we haven't heard from him yet because he can't talk or something.
When I woke up that morning, it was a beautiful September day, warm sun, never in my wildest dreams did I think it would be one of the worst days of my life. The sheriff's office operates in all 5 boroughs, so getting everyone in from the particular field offices to come in and go down to the World Trade Center, see what could be done, if anything could be done, if you could help someone. But the fire and the people, even with the firemen going up, there was little you could do except comfort the people or try and bring them, those who had escaped from the 2 towers. And then you just watched it burn.
We were very appreciative when the Family Assistance Center at Pier 94 opened. Because of the work I do at Safe Horizon, it was an opportunity to be present with first responders, other services, other organizations. So the Pier, the Family Assistance Center, was open for anyone. So you lost your job as a result of 9/11. You couldn't return back home. You just couldn't. You were injured, your loved one was missing, or your loved one had been killed. And we were all learning from each other because there wasn't like a how-to manual, but I think the beauty, what I do appreciate is the collaborative piece, everyone coming together under one roof and supporting each other. Because I remember when we were on the Army, and maybe this is just me, like you could still smell, there was a smell in the air. So it was resonant, it was still present, and you smelled it, but then you realize I still have work to do.
I joined NYPD in 1991, and in 2001, I was assigned to the Missing Persons Squad. Myself and the team, Missing Persons Squad personnel, were at the morgue processing the remains and trying to bring solace to the family members through the identification of those remains. I arrived before the first tower went down with a couple of detectives, and we went to a triage area, where there were a lot of medical staff behind One World Financial Center. So we were across the street from one of the towers, but we were behind. The initial shock and anxiety, and then an understanding of what was going on in terms of the building falling down, that was a traumatic experience. Reconnecting with my detectives, finding them again, we reconvened to figure out how we were going to do our jobs, which was still to work on the collecting of the casualties and identifying those individuals.
I work at the New York City Medical Examiner's Office, and we are tasked with investigating cases of sudden, unexplained, or suspicious deaths. But a big part of our operations is still dedicated to World Trade Center identifications. A lot of people don't realize that. We have people on our staff at the Medical Examiner's Office who were there that day, who barely escaped with their lives. And we have people like me who lost family members that day. My cousin Joseph Enchandia, he has not been identified. And I think that really resonates with the families when I share that personal story with them, because they understand that I know what it feels like, at least on some level, to have that pain of not really knowing what happened to my loved one that day. And they know that me and my family knows on some level what they're going through.
There's so many different changes that we made, not only in our job in the FDNY, but not only in NYPD, but throughout the world, not even the country, throughout the world, and the way we operate, the procedures, the tools, the equipment. There's so many changes that have taken place for the good, naturally, so that we don't have that same event ever happen again. The thing that I always tell people about is it's all about relationships. And we learned after September 11th that things we could have done a little bit better. And that's what we try to stress, is that relationships with people and other organizations is so important. The civilians that were in those buildings and what they did, some of those stories can't be told because we don't know what they were, but some stories that can be told were people that stayed with their counter workers. They stayed with their counterparts that weren't as mobile as they were and helped them get out. And some never made it out because they stayed with their counterparts because they couldn't get out. And that bravery and heroism that was on display that day is just nothing short of amazing.
That was the beauty of the tragedy. Without question, everyone responded. We didn't even have to ask. It was, what do you need? We'll be there immediately. And that's one of the good feelings, and during this chaotic past 4 years, I hold on to that because I know we're all capable of that.
Ironically, I'm teaching an emergency management class now, so I've almost come full circle, and I'm able to relate and pull in real-life examples of things that I experienced when I was in the FBI.
I think certainly there's a responsibility when you have been given experiential knowledge to use that information in a way that helps society.
Kids in this building are our future. I was in this building in 1976. From 74 to 76 when I graduated. Did I ever think I was going to become the fire commissioner of New York City? I was a firefighter. I was just a firefighter. And then I became the commissioner. What I learned here from my colleagues carried me through my whole job.
It's interesting to have been part of a piece of history that I wish would have never happened, but here we are,